All right, welcome back, everyone. Next up on the Verdino stage, we have McCallum from Tutti. Ash is the head of data, and he's going to be telling us about two of my favorite things, chicken nuggets and KPIs. So please welcome Ash.
Hi. So as said, I am the head of data at Tutti. I was previously hired as a product manager, which you might actually have heard about earlier. But yeah, today I want to talk to you about KPIs. So for those of you that don't know, KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. And it's used, they're a management tool used by just about every company out there. Now, at Tutti, we've had various different KPIs, even over the time that I've been there. And we've really struggled to get them fixed to a set that we're really happy with. We had so many different requirements. We wanted them to be actionable, to be easily understandable, and we wanted to keep them as showing the value that we were creating. Now, any time that you have that number of different requirements, trying to get all your KPIs to hit every single one of them is almost impossible. So when KPIs are done well, they can help provide focus, alignment, and guide everyone on how to act. And likewise, when they're done poorly, they can be confusing, inconsistent, and demotivating, leading people to not be able to connect the work that they're doing to the success that the company is generating. So I want to show you about how I went about developing KPIs at Tutti, so you can develop your own kick-ass KPIs. So for those of you that don't know, this is Usain Bolt, possibly the most successful sprinter in the modern era. Now, as you can probably tell, I'm no runner. I can't really run for more than about 100 meters, actually, unless you give me a rugby ball. But I can really admire someone like that and the success that they've had. But if you ever stop to think about how does he judge his success? What criteria is he basing it on? Now, there's a very well publicized story about when at the Beijing Olympics, Bolt managed to win 3 gold medals while eating 100 chicken McNuggets a day. Now, that may go against a lot of nutritional advice that you see these days, but it seems to work for him. And so you could think that that's one of the success criteria that he sets. But more normally for a sprinter, the first thing you jump to is time. And so should you be using someone's personal best time, the best that they've ever run? Maybe you want it to be a bit more timely than that. And so you want to focus on the best they've had that season. Or maybe you want it even more specific still, and the average from the last few races. But then time isn't quite everything. It doesn't capture everything. So the other thing with someone at Bolt's level is that he wants to focus on the number of medals that he's won. Actually, even going further, thinking about the number of gold medals he's won, or even his world ranking. So here you can see the time for his 200-meter sprint and how it evolved over his career. So he was really peaking at 2008, 2009. And then also did really well in 2012, another Olympic year. But what would have happened with this if someone in 2012 ran faster than it? What if 10 people ran faster than he did in 2012? So this doesn't capture everything. So here we have the world ranking. So maybe this is a bit better as a comparable metric to others. So to take away from this, you have to learn that every metric is a simplification. There is no perfect metric out there. And so you want to get a spread of metrics that cover enough of the bases. And success really is a combination of factors. It rarely ever comes down to one thing. So with Tutti, for instance, we always want to focus on having an easy-to-use product that our customers love. But then a key revenue source for us is advertising. And these can often come into conflict. So we want to make sure, we wouldn't want to boost advertising usually by putting full-page advertisements on the homepage, for instance. But we need to make sure that these work together effectively. So Bolt, after defining exactly what his performance KPIs are, his success KPIs, starts talking to his trainer and he says, okay, I think to get better, what you need to do is feed me more chicken nuggets. So here's the learning from this. You can't work on performance alone. So Bolt can't just go and work on creating more gold medals. He has to focus on the techniques that he wants to train that will lead to the improvements in performance. And so for him, some of the objectives that he came up with, or he could come up with his trainers, would be increasing the step length, increasing the step rate, maintaining quality sleep, and slightly increasing his fitness. So these would all be the techniques that would have to come into play. And you can see the associated metrics with them. Now, the thing to think of here is that these use the experience and knowledge from Bolt and his trainers to come up with. But success is not guaranteed. And so here you can see the structure. Every company, for instance, will have multiple performance KPIs. And then every performance KPI will have a set of techniques to go with it. And so for Tutti, what I did is try to map out the main points of the customer journey that we have. And so you can see that we've got buyers and sellers coming together, doing different actions, and leading to the moments in blue, which I've labeled as moments of value. This is where different stakeholders can take value away from the product that we create. And a key thing to remember here is that we have buyers, sellers, most obviously, but we also have to think about our business. So you can think of this. Here's an example. I come on and search on Tutti. One of the things that I want to have is search results that are relevant to what I'm searching for, as you can see here. So here I've found a way to be able to increase the number of chicken nuggets that I'm eating. And I can go through and contact the seller, hopefully setting up a chance for me to buy it. And here's an example of one of the KPIs that we have at Tutti. So match points is a way that we sum the number of contacts that are made, and then you can see each of the different techniques that feed into it. So normally I would say sessions is it's a vanity metric, something that is not important, something that you don't really want to focus on. But in the context of this set, it helps understand the other rates that are there. So when combined with the others, it makes sense. So search success rate is the number of searches that are made where a user clicks on one of the top 3 results. The contact rate, of course, that's the main action that we have here. So we want to make sure that when people are coming and they're searching for something, that they're finding it and actually making that contact. And lastly, we want to keep our retention high, so we keep an eye on our churn rate as well. So TX Markets, for instance, has companies with very similar performance KPIs. We're all marketplaces, so there's a lot of the same mechanics happening. And the benefit of this means that we can see where we're similar, we can use our experience to come up with the techniques, experiment and learn with those, and then share them amongst ourselves to help make everyone else better and to beat out competition. So, lastly, just to recap them. So remember, no metric is perfect. Everything is a simplification, and no one metric can cover every single need that you want. But essentially, focus on behaviors and not vanity metrics. Lastly, when it comes to setting the performance KPIs, moments of value are what you want to be looking at. So identify when customers are extracting value from your product. And then lastly, you can't improve performance by only looking at performance metrics. It's only by understanding your performance metrics with the techniques that need to be improved to go into them that you can make those go up higher. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Ash. Really, really interesting talk, dealing with very similar topics, actually, in my own work at the moment. So please leave your questions for Ash in the stage chat on Hopin. And in the meantime, I actually have my own question about this too. So search, because it's something I've been thinking a lot about, especially how do you account for differences in user goals? So if a user is making a search, do you know that they're searching for something specific, or maybe they're browsing and they're looking for inspiration? Do your KPIs accurately reflect that?
That's a really interesting one. So actually, we've done some research. I know you've done some with Tutti where you've looked at this and to try and break down what percentage of users are doing different types of jobs. And so with that, I think that's where benchmarking comes into play. And so for us, the contact rate, yes, we want to increase the contact rate to help increase our match points or contacts overall, but we're not trying to increase it to 100%. Yep. I think it's about understanding what is the correct goal for that metric, what's the correct maximum, and also as you're going through and experimenting, you should get a bit of a feeling about that, because after a while, you're going to get diminishing returns.
Yeah. Great. All right, we have some questions coming in now. First of all, Misha just asked who hired that guy. But onto the serious questions. So Marta asks, she says, really loved the user journey with the connected KPIs. How do you combine it with qualitative insights from research? I guess that's very similar to the question I just asked.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. I think, so the qualitative insights are more answering the why, which give you, I think that's where you need to dive in to understand about how do you improve those, the technique KPIs, for instance. Like that's how do you meet the customer's demand, understand the customer demand to then meet it. So that's, more the day-to-day, like how to improve it rather than deciding what is the correct one, I think. But maybe that goes as well into, maybe if you're learning different signals are the important things, then that's where you should be thinking about changing out some of those techniques, take out ones that aren't working so well and bring in some of those new ones, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, we'll wait a minute for other questions to come in if there's any more. Yeah, we have a question from Thomas. He's saying, he says, great talk, many thanks. And he asks, can you tell us what your way is to derive good KPIs that are created together and accepted broadly over different departments?
Oh, yeah, that is a challenge. Building that consensus is definitely difficult. So with this set of KPIs, we have actually changed quite drastically from what we've done before. So one of the reasons that I bring up the thing of vanity metrics is for a long time we have looked at sessions and users. And we understood their importance in some way, but we knew that they weren't really the behaviors that we looked at. So I had a job actually going through and working with our management team and our leaders to really help understand what they wanted from the KPIs, why they felt attachment to some of the things that they could, and also try and get my point across about why I thought some of the new ones I proposed would be better. And also it meant that I adjusted some as well. So it's a cliche, but communication is the thing here, and understand that it's a journey that you need to take people on. Just coming with a fixed proposal and then demanding that people sign up to it is not the right way to go. You need buy-in across the board. And yeah, that takes time and perseverance.
Absolutely. Have you had any cases where you've realized that a KPI isn't measuring what you thought it was measuring?
I can't think of an exact example right now, but the closest thing that I can think of is when you release new features and looking at usage. Usage of a feature is one of those things which can be a good indicator, but if it's not actually achieving the goal, it's usually got a goal that you're trying to do. So, for me, I was a PM of the buyer side journey at Tutti, and so I was always trying to focus on how could we increase the number of contacts that we have. We had numerous experiments and features where the features were being used, but they weren't increasing those metrics or anything associated with it. Yeah. And so at that point, you have to think that that's where you have to think about putting that kind of feature out, because it's not achieving what you set out. I think I diverted that question a little bit, but I hope it made sense.
Yeah, it made sense to me. Let's see. So no more questions coming in so far. A lot of thank yous and positive feedback. So definitely have a look at the chat.
Cool, thank you.
And yeah, thanks so much again.
Thank you very much.
We will be back in a few minutes with the new TX Markets CTO, Jeremy Seitz. Stick around and see you soon.